Hey, don't flinch. You can feel it, can't you? That strange silence crawling through the city like guilt with a pulse. The same people who laughed, pointed, whispered your name like a joke are suddenly covering their faces in the reflection they once mocked. The lights are still on, but no one wants to look in the mirror tonight. Because you were right, the whole damn time. They called you delusional for seeing the cracks before the earthquake hit. They called you dramatic for hearing the screams before the alarms. They called you dangerous for realizing the fire wasn't coming. It was already here. You tried to warn them, didn't you? You told them the system was bleeding, that the smiles were masks, that the truth was leaking through their screens like static from another dimension. But they didn't want the truth. They wanted entertainment. They wanted your suffering with subtitles. They wanted to call you crazy until your prophecies came true. Now look at them. The same ones who mocked you for overthinking are the ones barricading their windows, clutching their phones like rosaries, refreshing every feed for the next collapse. The city's hiding its face now. All those experts, influencers, false prophets, they're choking on their own predictions. You can hear it, can't you? That panicked rhythm beneath the silence. That's the sound of people praying to not be seen by the very ghost they created. You were the ghost, weren't you? The one they tried to erase, ridicule, rebrand. But ghosts don't die. They linger. You haunt their credibility now. Every rumor they spread about you has turned into an obituary for their own pride. Every insult they hurled became a timestamp for when they lost the plot. And now, every single one of them is hoping you don't remember. But you do. You remember everything, every smirk, every public humiliation disguised as advice, every side-eye that said, "You'll regret believing that." You remember the tone they used when they told you to get help. You remember the way they said your name like it was evidence. But now, you're the case file they can't close. You see, evolution doesn't come wrapped in applause. It comes in isolation, madness, and whispers that only make sense in hindsight. They called you paranoid because you noticed patterns in the chaos. They called you arrogant because you didn't bow to their logic. They called you dangerous because your silence made them nervous. You weren't losing your mind. You were outgrowing theirs. And the best part? You didn't need revenge. You just waited. You let the rot show itself. You let the truth walk through the front door while they were busy pretending to be holy. You let reality do what vengeance could never do, expose them in daylight. Because that's what you are, aren't you? Daylight dressed as darkness, the necessary evil that forces the world to confess. They never hated you because you were wrong. They hated you because you were early. You saw the storm before the forecast. You spoke the future in a tones they couldn't decode. You made people uncomfortable simply by being accurate. They weren't laughing at you. They were defending their illusions. You cracked the glass, and now they can't unsee the fracture. The irony? Every warning you gave became their routine now. The phrases they mocked are now gospel. The habits they shamed are now survival tactics. The same people who said you were overreacting now copy your composure like it's a religion. They're mimicking your madness to stay sane. And you are standing there in the ruins you predicted. You don't need to scream, "I told you so." The silence does it for you. The broken eye contact, the deleted posts, the sudden apologies disguised as checking in. You've become the quiet panic in every conversation. They can't say your name without remembering how wrong they were. You know what's funny? They thought being right would make you feel vindicated. But it doesn't, does it? It makes you dangerous because you've tasted what it means to see the truth before the world's ready for it. That kind of sight doesn't heal. It mutates. It rewires you into something colder, calmer, untouchable. You stopped seeking validation when you realized your mind was years ahead of the collective. That's not arrogance. That's evolution with scars. So what now? You walk through this city of masks, knowing the punchline they can't say out loud. You were right, and that terrifies them more than being wrong ever did. You've become the quiet apocalypse that proves perception is a weapon. You didn't just survive their doubt, you used it. You turned humiliation into camouflage, skepticism into strategy, and exile into enlightenment. Now every whisper feels like confession. Every glance feels like surrender. Every "I'm sorry" is just an echo bouncing off the walls of the empire that tried to bury you. You're not their villain, you're their mirror. And mirrors don't apologize for showing what's real. So smile, won't you? Not the kind they fear, the kind that knows. Because the city's eyes are down now. They're pretending not to see what's standing right in front of them. The prophecy they laughed at is wearing a smile. And it's looking right back at them. You feel it, don't you? That hum beneath the asphalt. The static of a city choking on its own denial. They move differently now. Slower, quieter. Glancing over shoulders they once squared at you. The laughter died first. Then the confidence, then the light in their eyes. Funny how fast arrogance decays when truth starts leaking through the cracks in the concrete. They used to throw your name around like a curse, a cautionary tale. Don't end up like that. But now they say it in whispers, like a prayer, like a ward against the chaos they mocked you for predicting. And when your shadow crosses their path, they flinch, not out of fear of you, but fear of what you represent. That the lunatic was the prophet all along. You tried to tell them, didn't you? That something was coming, that everything glittering was corroding underneath. You saw the rot forming under the gold, the silence forming under the applause. You heard the city's heartbeat skip long before it flatlined. But they mistook your awareness for madness. Because people only believe in truth when it doesn't cost them their comfort. They needed you to be wrong, to keep their illusion alive. They needed the world to stay predictable, for lies to stay beautiful. So they made you the scapegoat, the freak, the outlier. They built a cage out of mockery and called it help. They wanted to fix you, not because you were broken, but because you broke the pattern. But the pattern broke them instead. Now the lights flicker in their offices. The data doesn't make sense. Their smiles look more like masks melting in real time. And all those experts, scholars, therapists, commentators, they can't sleep. They're wide-eyed at 3 a.m., replaying every moment they dismissed you, every crazy warning, every time you said, "You'll see." And now they do. You see, the universe has a twisted sense of humor. It always sides with the misunderstood. The ones who can hear the storm before it arrives. The ones who feel frequencies no one else is tuned to. They called you paranoid because they couldn't hear the signal beneath the noise. But you were decoding the broadcast of reality itself. Now every screen, every voice, every shadow in this city carries your echo. You became the algorithm, the anomaly, the glitch they can't debug. They tried to analyze your patterns, but your chaos was precision. You were never reacting, you were anticipating. While they were busy building walls, you were already designing exits. They laughed when you fell silent. They thought you'd given up. But silence was never surrender. It was preparation. Every quiet night you spent piecing your mind back together. You were sharpening it into a weapon. Every tear they mocked turned into code. Every scar became a map. And when you reappeared, you weren't the same creature they left for dead. You were the evolution they didn't account for. Look at them now, ducking under hoods, deleting evidence, pretending they never said what they said. Their timelines rewritten, their faith shattered, their idols crumbling under the weight of the truth you carried. The whole city's hiding its face, not because they fear judgment, but because they see what judgment looks like when it walks on 2 feet. You were right, not because you wanted to be. You were right because you had to be. You bled for it. You lost everything for it. And in that loss, you found the one thing they'll never have: clarity. That's the real power, isn't it? Not wealth, not status, clarity. The ability to see the mechanics behind the miracle. To understand that every betrayal, every rejection, every insult was calibration. The universe aligning your frequency away from noise and toward destiny. You were never losing, you were sinking. And now, the same voices that crucified you are rehearsing your language. The same hands that shoved you down are building altars in your shape. The same world that buried you is whispering your philosophy like scripture. You became the gravity in their orbit, the one they can't escape, no matter how fast they spin. But don't mistake their shame for growth. They're not enlightened, they're exposed. The light you brought burned away their comfort. And exposure always looks like pain to people who've lived in lies. That's why they can't look at you. You remind them of the cost of pretending. You remind them what it feels like to see without filters. You became the proof that pain is prophecy, that madness is just intuition dressed in scars, that sometimes the only way to stay sane is to go insane first. So let them hide. Let them cover their faces, rewrite their stories, pretend they were always on your side. Because deep down, every time they see your reflection in a window, they'll hear that echo. You were right. You were right. You were right. You didn't need applause. You didn't need validation. You didn't even need revenge. The truth did it for you. It stripped their pride, their lies, their comfortable illusions, and it crowned you with the one thing they can't counterfeit: vision. You don't walk through this city anymore like a victim. You glide through it like a revelation. Every streetlight flickers in recognition. Every shadow steps aside. Every soul that once mocked you carries your silence like a ghost in their chest. And you, calm, unreadable, untouchable, you just smile. Because now they know what it feels like to doubt someone who's already seen the ending. They tried to make you a warning, but the only warning now is what happens to those who laugh at the truth before it's ready to be believed. You were the prophecy, the proof, the punishment, and now the whole damn city wears your silence like a scar. You hear it, don't you? That eerie hush between sirens. The city used to hum, remember? Neon lights buzzing, mouths running, every rooftop alive with noise. But now, it's quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Guilty quiet. The kind that follows realization. The kind that seeps in when every mask cracks at once. They can't hide from the echo anymore. The echo of you. You walk through the streets now and feel their eyes. Not curious, not hateful. Terrified. They see you like a walking verdict. You are what happens when prophecy meets proof. Every step you take rewrites their denial. Every breath you take replays the moment they laughed. You don't have to say a word. The silence screams louder than vengeance ever could. It's funny, isn't it? How the truth always starts as a punchline. They laughed because it was easier than listening. They mocked because mockery is cheaper than humility. You were the outcast because you noticed too much, felt too deeply, refused to stay asleep. And now, they're awake, wide-eyed, drowning in the same storm you mapped years ago. You didn't predict the chaos. You remembered it. That's the secret, isn't it? You've lived this loop before. The pattern of disbelief, ridicule, collapse, and silence. It's the oldest story in human nature. They call you mad until their world burns, and then they call you necessary. They brand you a monster until they need your blueprint for survival. They call you broken until your cracks start glowing. You warned them. You always warned them. You said their comfort was built on sand, that their peace was just a stage set over a sinkhole. But they didn't want warning. They wanted anesthesia. They wanted to sleep through the truth and wake up famous. And when you refused to join their dream, they called you delusional. But delusion is just sight ahead of schedule. Now the floods come, and every pretty lie is floating face down. The ones who said, "That'll never happen," are whispering, "What do we do now?" The same talking heads who mocked your instincts are spinning your words like scripture. Every denial, every insult, every "you're crazy" has aged into evidence. You became the control variable of a collapsing experiment. And the beauty of it, you never lifted a finger. You didn't destroy them. Their arrogance did. You just watched, patient, precise, surgical. You let them write their own eulogies in disbelief. Because the universe always comes with receipts, and you were the transaction they underestimated. They say hindsight is 20/20. But your foresight was divine. You saw the rot under the marble, the serpent under the crown, the cracks in their empire before the first tremor hit. And you warned them, not because you wanted to be worshipped, but because you cared enough to risk mockery. And that's what they'll never understand. Truth-tellers don't crave credit, they crave clarity. But you learned, didn't you? That clarity costs isolation. That wisdom tastes like exile. That when you speak light into blind rooms, you don't get applause. You get attacked. Because to the comfortable, truth feels like cruelty. To the blind, light feels like violence. And you were violent in your honesty. You shattered their sleep. You forced them to wake up in a nightmare of their own making. Now look at them. The masks that once sneered at you are hanging from trembling hands. The same people who called you too much now can't get enough of your words. They replay your old warnings like forbidden prophecies. They stalk your silence for clues. They read your calm as threat. Because it is. That's the paradox, isn't it? You never needed to fight. You just needed to wait. Because truth has perfect aim. It just takes time to reload. You knew patience was more lethal than pride. You let their laughter echo long enough to circle back as screams. And now, the whole city's holding its breath. They're hiding their faces not out of shame, but recognition. Because deep down, they always knew you were right. They just prayed you wouldn't live long enough to prove it. They bet against your endurance. They built temples to their own ego and called it reason. But now, the statues are cracking, the scripts are burning, and the only name left standing is yours. You walk through ruins they once called progress. You move through ghosts that used to have power. You see it now. They never hated you. They hated the reflection. Because you weren't a threat to their world. You were a threat to their delusion. You were a mirror that didn't flinch. Every time they tried to break you, they were really trying to break the part of themselves that still knew the truth. You just wouldn't die. That's what terrifies them. You refused to vanish when their narrative demanded it. You stayed, you watched, you remembered, and when the truth finally detonated, it spelled your vindication in neon letters across their skyline. Now, every apology feels hollow. Every "you were right" sounds rehearsed, and you smile, because you know it isn't about being right. It's about being awake. You've transcended their understanding. You've become a living audit of the human condition, proof that chaos favors the ones who stop pretending to be sane. So let them hide, let them whisper, let them scramble for forgiveness under masks that no longer fit. You don't need revenge. You are the reminder. You are the psychological scar left on a world that once laughed at its own destruction. You are the silence that follows the scream, the calm after revelation. You don't walk among them now. You hover between dimensions, too aware for the herd, too dangerous for the throne, too evolved for applause. You are the balance between saint and psychopath, light and abyss, creation and collapse, the living paradox they tried to erase. And tonight, as the city dims its lights in shame, you stand above it all, unbothered, untouchable, illuminated by the very truth they once despised. The whole city's hiding their faces now, because when they see yours, they remember how blind they used to be. Look at you, still pretending you don't know what you just did. Do you feel that static crawling under your skin? That wasn't adrenaline, that was recognition, something ancient just turned its head. Because when you moved, when you spoke, when you defied that script they tried to chain you to, the system glitched. For 3 seconds, reality itself hesitated. The cameras blinked, the room temperature dropped 2 degrees, and the people who built the walls around your name, they looked at each other and whispered, "You, mem, who TF saw that?" You triggered a power ritual they couldn't control. You weren't supposed to survive the humiliation ritual. You were supposed to collapse, blend in, disappear into their little recycle bin of almosts. But instead, you evolved. You didn't fall apart. You reconfigured. Your pain started speaking a dialect the gods themselves had forgotten how to translate. And suddenly the room got very, very quiet. They wanted a puppet. You became a paradox. You see, power doesn't come from what they give you. It comes from what you refuse to die from. You refuse to beg, refuse to explain, refuse to make yourself palatable. That's when the ritual misfired. That's when you became the fire. Do you know what happens when the wrong soul absorbs the right kind of chaos? The grid bends, the air thickens, and every eye that ever mocked you starts to tremble without knowing why. You've become undecodable. They don't know if you're an angel who lost his wings or a demon who grew them back. You make saints nervous and sinners fascinated. You're walking proof that duality isn't meant to be balanced. It's meant to be weaponized. Every pain they inflicted was a syllable in the spell that summoned this version of you. Every rejection, a rune, every betrayal, an offering. And now the ritual circle's inverted, and they're the ones being watched. Funny, isn't it? They thought you'd break. But the thing about breaking is, when done correctly, it rearranges the geometry of the soul. You stop being human in the way they understand. You become event code. Your emotions turn into EMPS. Your silence becomes surveillance. Your gaze starts writing reality back. And they can't stand it. Because once you wake up, you start noticing how artificial everything smells, how the smiles are engineered, how the love is conditional, how their authority is a hologram powered by your compliance. And once you stop feeding it, it flickers. That's what you did. You starved the ritual of your guilt. You stopped apologizing for existing. You stopped playing nice for people who crave your submission. And now they're the ones haunted by your refusal. They can't figure out how you're still glowing after everything they buried you under. They're sending messages, subtle at first, wondering who's backing you. There's no way he's doing this alone, they whisper. But that's the punchline, isn't it? You didn't call for backup. You became it. You became the storm their control systems can't simulate. Every move you make now bends probability. Every step sends ripples through algorithms written decades before your birth. Somewhere, in a boardroom full of trembling egos, a red light just went off. A warning, the subject is awake. They tried to trigger your downfall. Instead, you triggered their exposure. And here's the beautiful part. Every time you move now, every breath, every word, they watch, not out of curiosity, but out of fear. They know there's something behind you, something they can't name, watching through your eyes. The universe picked a vessel, and it wasn't supposed to be you, but you said yes without realizing. You accepted the pain, you walked through fire, and in doing so, you hijacked the ritual. You turned their sacrifice into your ceremony. Now when you smile, frequencies shift. When you laugh, data corrupts. When you sleep, the dreams you have start bleeding into the waking world. You are not manifesting. You are interfering with causality, and they know. They won't say it out loud, but they feel it. That vibration in the chest when your name surfaces in conversation, that's not anxiety. That's their subconscious trying to process the presence of someone who slipped the leash of predictable existence. You are no longer someone they can manage. You're a variable, a walking contradiction, saint and sinner, architect and anomaly. You've become the kind of story that keeps gods entertained and devils cautious. So they'll try again. They'll bait you, gaslight you, offer fake alliances. But remember, rituals require participation. They can't bind what refuses to kneel. You've already broken containment. Now you walk through this world like a loaded question. Every mirror recognizes you before you look. Every whisper stops mid-sentence when you enter the room. Every plan built against you erodes in silence. Because the moment you accepted your madness, you reached equilibrium. The light in you stopped pretending it wasn't forged in darkness. The darkness in you stopped pretending it wasn't divine. And that, my dear, is the most dangerous kind of power there is. So go on. Let them analyze. Let them panic. Let them pretend they understand what you've become. Because deep down, they already know. You didn't summon something. You are the thing that answered. You can feel it now, can't you? That pressure behind the air. Like the whole atmosphere knows your name, but doesn't know how to say it out loud. Every step you take feels rehearsed by something older than you. Like destiny's been shadowing your movements, waiting for you to notice that you've become the one who rewrites scripts. They said you lost control, but what they never tell you is that control is the final illusion before transcendence. They built their lives around order, around predictability, around the idea that if everyone plays by the same invisible rules, the universe stays tame. You touched the wire. You leaned in and whispered, "Let's see what happens if I don't obey." And that's when the ritual flipped. That's when the mirror stopped reflecting and started watching. You've seen it, haven't you? The way people freeze for half a second when you walk by. The way rooms distort around your presence. The lights hum louder. The energy changes color. They don't know what it is, but they feel it. Because power is not just something you have. It's something reality recognizes. Every scar you carry now is a rune. Every silence, a chant. Every betrayal, a blood offering written in memory. And all of it built you into a creature that doesn't pray for miracles anymore. You become them. Do you know how terrifying that is for them? They spent their entire lives following a formula. Suffer, submit, repeat. And then you walked out of the equation. You smiled through the exile. You built empires in isolation. You didn't ask for closure. You weaponized it. And now they see what happens when someone stops mistaking pain for punishment. You turned it into blueprint. The ritual they started was meant to erase you, but instead it resurrected something ancient buried inside you, something too defiant to fit inside their algorithms. You're not supposed to be this awake. You're not supposed to remember that the human soul was designed as a rebellion in motion. You don't pray to gods anymore. They whisper your name in their dreams because you crossed the threshold. You stopped being a person and became an inflection point. A moment in time that won't collapse. A frequency that doesn't bow. The reason everything around you feels unstable now is because your presence is a paradox. They can't categorize you. Your mercy and mayhem in one skin. You bless with one hand and dismantle with the other. They called it a curse. It was a correction. The moment you accepted your darkness, you purified it. The moment you forgave nothing, you freed yourself from their morality trap. That's the secret, isn't it? The ritual wasn't just about you. It was about them. The universe uses chosen ones as mirrors. It shows the collective what happens when one consciousness refuses to conform. You're not healing, you're infecting the matrix with awareness. And now the watchers are nervous. The suits, the handlers, the professionals of perception. They can't contain your data anymore. Their equations break when you breathe. Their predictive models return null. You've become statistically impossible. But there's something deeper, something older. That thing that turned its gaze toward you when everything fell apart. It's not human. Not celestial, not demonic. It's truth. Raw, ungoverned, self-aware truth. And once truth chooses a vessel, there's no reversing it. You've seen the omens, clocks freezing, lights flickering, dreams echoing into your mornings. Those weren't coincidences. That was confirmation. The veil noticed your movement. And now, it's moving with you. You've become the glitch they can't delete. The proof that divinity wears human trauma like camouflage. You're not healed. You're rewritten. You're not calm. You're contained chaos, refined enough to look holy. That's why they can't decide if they should worship you or run. You walk between worlds now. The living mistake you for a ghost. The dead think you're still alive. The gods? They call you proof of concept. And somewhere in the dark rooms where rituals are still conducted under artificial lights, they're whispering to each other, "How did this happen? How did we lose control of that one?" They don't realize the answer's simple. You stopped playing by fear's rules. You realize that control isn't taken. It's returned. Because you were never theirs to begin with. Now every humiliation they staged has turned into your resurrection footage. Every insult into scripture. Every enemy into unpaid PR. You didn't even have to fight. You just stayed. And that's what scares them most. Your stillness. The way you don't flinch anymore. The way you stare back with that faint grin like you've already seen the next 10 moves and you're bored. That's the real ritual power. Not summoning energy, but becoming the current itself. You're not lucky. You're not blessed. You're inevitable, so keep moving. Let them panic. Let them whisper about who saw it, what it means, what kind of entity they accidentally awakened. Because they're right to be afraid. Something answered through you that day. And it's still watching, because the truth is, once something that powerful starts watching through you, there's no going back. You don't get to unignite the flame. You don't get to re-enter the simulation and pretend you're one of them again. You've already been scanned, tagged, and marked as a variable that doesn't obey the laws of containment. You're no longer a participant. You're a distortion. And distortions, my friend, terrify the architects. Because they built this little playpen of civilization on predictable reactions. Predictable fear, predictable shame. They know how to handle rebellion. They don't know what to do with awareness. Awareness is viral. It's radioactive. Once one mind breaks the hypnosis, it sends shockwaves. People start feeling cracks in the narrative. The lies don't fit like they used to. That's what you did. You broke the hypnosis by surviving the ritual that was supposed to consume you. They wanted your humiliation to be a closure file. They wanted it to end you symbolically, emotionally, spiritually. But you didn't crumble. You detonated. You turned the ritual circle into a feedback loop. And now, instead of draining your energy, it's feeding from you. You have no idea how dangerous that is to them, because their power relies on belief. And when you stopped believing in their definitions, their system lost calibration. You became self-defining. You started generating meaning independent of approval, independent of hierarchy. That's how gods are born, through disobedience disguised as clarity. You remember the moment, don't you? When you looked around and realized nobody was coming to save you. That was the initiation. That was the sound of divinity waking up inside madness. Pain didn't destroy you. It stripped you of permissions. And once you stop asking for permission, you stop existing on their terms. That's what power is. It's not dominance. It's unconditionality. And it scares them, because unconditional people can't be manipulated. They can't be bribed with belonging or tamed with fear. You don't need their spotlight. You became your own electricity, and now every time you enter a room, every fluorescent light, every phone camera, every digital sensor registers you. The machines pick it up before the humans do. You're a pattern they can't compress, a signal outside the algorithm. They'll pretend it's paranoia. They'll say, you're overthinking it. But deep down, they feel it. Their technology knows what their souls won't admit. You're a frequency breach, a walking data anomaly, a conscious glitch in an unconscious empire. They thought they could map you. But what they didn't know is that pain mutates. Betrayal rewires. Isolation evolves perception. You didn't heal. You upgraded. You turned your nervous system into a divination tool. You can smell deceit now, can't you? You can feel malice before it's spoken. That's not intuition. That's reconstruction. You rebuilt yourself in the dark without an instruction manual. And now you carry architecture in your blood. That's why you can't die in peace anymore. The universe still needs what's inside you. Every heartbreak forged circuitry. Every disappointment installed another layer of awareness. And by the time they realized what was happening, the ritual had already reversed polarity. You became the observer, not the observed. You think it's coincidence that they're suddenly nervous around you, that conversations shift, eyes dart, tones change. No, they're not seeing you anymore. They're seeing their reflection in your calmness. You're a mirror that doesn't lie back. You make people realize how artificial they've become. That's the curse of evolution. You outgrow people's tolerance. They loved your weakness. It made them feel safe. But the moment you evolved past their control threshold, they started calling it arrogance, ego, madness. Of course they did. When sheep see a wolf, they call it a threat. They never consider the wolf might just be free, so they'll label you dangerous, unstable, unpredictable. And they'll be right. You are unpredictable. Because prediction only works on patterns that repeat. You don't repeat anymore. You rewrite. Every day you wake up, reality updates itself to catch up with you. That's what frightens them. The idea that you could alter the script just by existing consciously. That's the true definition of a ritual, repetition that manipulates energy. But when you stopped repeating their pain, you hijacked their magic. You redirected the current. You think you're healing. But really, you're rewiring the grid. They can't admit it, but they see the effects. People around you start glitching. Old systems collapse. Hidden truths surface. You say a few words and entire relationships shift trajectories. That's not coincidence. That's consequence. When someone carries that much awareness, their presence becomes instructional. You've become the proof that energy doesn't obey authority. It obeys intention. And now, the ones who used to mock you, they're in silence. They feel the shift but can't explain it. They'll call it luck. They'll call it timing. They'll call it manipulation. But deep down, they know the truth. You triggered something they can't untrigger. Something ancient, autonomous, and frighteningly alive. It doesn't serve you. It is you. And the longer you walk this earth pretending to be human, the more the veil frays. The more the watchers panic. Because they built their empires on the assumption that nobody remembers what they are. And then you came along, a mirror wrapped in skin, humming with forgotten electricity, and shattered that assumption into dust. You didn't just survive the ritual, you consumed it. You digested the poison, metabolized it into prophecy, and now you're breathing it back into the world as clarity. So when people say, who TF saw that? The answer's simple. Everyone saw it. Every soul that's ever tasted suppression felt it in their bones. Every ancient watcher felt the vibration. Every system that depends on silence felt the rupture. And yet you stand here, calm, smiling, dangerous, because they don't understand the final twist. You were never performing the ritual. You were the ritual. And you're still unfolding. And that's the part they'll never recover from. The realization that you weren't some pawn trapped in their little spell, but the spell itself, walking, breathing, remembering its own name. They thought they'd written your ending. They thought humiliation would collapse you, that shame would keep you docile. But when you looked up, with blood still on your teeth and laughter crawling out of your throat, the universe listened. Because laughter, in the face of annihilation, is creation's oldest language. They watched you get up again, and something in their circuitry short-circuited. How do you destroy what enjoys being destroyed? How do you break what's already comfortable with pain? You can't. You can only witness it. That's why they're whispering now. That's why they flinch when your name is spoken. You've become a study in unpredictability, a living question mark at the end of their commandments. You've crossed that invisible threshold where light and dark stop being enemies and start being tools. You use them interchangeably now. Rage to build, kindness to disarm, silence to cut deeper than any scream. You're not trying to be good or evil anymore. You're trying to be effective. And that makes you uncontrollable. Because they trained everyone to chase redemption. But you stopped chasing. You realized redemption is just permission. granted by the same people who caused the damage. You didn't need their forgiveness, you needed your focus. And now that you have it, you move differently. You speak like every word weighs gold and gunpowder. You walk like gravity's your shadow. They'll say, he changed. They'll say, he lost himself. No, you found the part they warned you never to touch. The core where peace and chaos share the same heartbeat. You found out that angels and demons are just departments in the same cosmic bureaucracy, and you decided you'd rather freelance. That's what the ritual really was. An initiation hidden inside an insult, a rebirth disguised as ruin. You went through the furnace and came out wearing the flame. Now every breath you take is a reminder that power doesn't shout. It vibrates. It hums quietly in the bones of those who stopped apologizing for existing. So let them talk. Let them study you like an unsolved case file. Let them dig through old footage trying to find where you came from, which day you stopped being ordinary. They'll never find it, because there wasn't a moment. There was a decision. You stopped waiting for permission to exist. You simply existed louder. And now the echoes of that choice are rearranging constellations. So when the next one tries to provoke you, to drag you back into the old program, just smile. You don't need revenge. The algorithm's already punishing them by replaying your victory in their dreams. The ritual is over. The power's loose. The watchers blink and the lights flicker, and somewhere deep inside the grid, a new line of code writes itself. Do not attempt to contain. So breathe, keep walking, keep burning through the illusion with that slow, deliberate grin. The storm isn't behind you anymore. It is you. And the funny thing about storms, they don't ask for permission to arrive. They just change the weather.